Racist cops burn black man's documents for fun, then learn he's the city's new mayor. The alley reeked of gasoline and arrogance. Officer Danvers smirked, tossing another sheet of paper into the fire, the flames licking up the edges of what he thought was just another man's meaningless records. "Look at this, boys," he sneered, holding up a singed document to his three colleagues, their badges glinting under the streetlight. "This guy thinks he's somebody." The man they surrounded, Marcus Tate, stood tall despite the humiliation, his jaw clenched, eyes burning brighter than the fire. He was a black man in a city where that alone made him a target, and tonight, these cops had decided to make him their sport. It was a routine patrol, they claimed, when they stopped Marcus on his way home from the library. He carried a briefcase stuffed with legal papers, his life's work, and a few personal documents he'd needed for tomorrow's swearing-in. But to Danvers and his crew, Marcus was just another face to hassle. They'd rifled through his bag, laughing as they tore pages, mocking his fancy words and uppity attitude. When Marcus protested, calmly citing his rights, Danvers lit a match. "Let's see how important these are," he'd said, tossing the first page into a rusted trash can. The others followed, each sheet a piece of Marcus's dignity, curling into ash. Marcus didn't flinch. He'd faced worse decades of slurs, doors slammed in his face, opportunities snatched away. Born the city's poorest ward, he'd clawed his way through law school, driven by a promise to his late mother, to make their community a place where justice wasn't just a word. He'd spent years organizing, speaking, and fighting for those who couldn't. Last month, against all odds, the city had elected him mayor, the first black man to hold the office. Tomorrow, he'd take the oath. Tonight, though, he was just a man in an alley, watching his life's proof burn. "You think you're smart, don't you?" Officer Reynolds taunted, shoving Marcus against the wall. "Think you're better than us?" Marcus's silence only fueled their rage. They didn't know who he was. They didn't care. To them, he was a stereotype, a threat to their fragile sense of power. The fire crackled, devouring his law degree, his voter registration, his birth certificate. Each loss stabbed deeper, but Marcus held his ground. He knew this wasn't about papers, it was about control, about reminding him of his place. Then, a radio crackled. "Danvers, you there?" The voice was sharp, urgent. Danvers grabbed his radio, annoyed. "Yeah, what?" The dispatcher's words came fast. "You're at 5th and Elm? We gotta report some idiots harassing the new mayor. Chief says get back to the station now." The officers froze. Danvers's smirk faded. "The mayor," he muttered, glancing at Marcus, whose steady gaze hadn't wavered. Reynolds laughed nervously. "No way, this guy. He's just Marcus Tate," Marcus said, his voice low but ironclad. "Your new mayor." The alley went silent, save for the fire's dying pops. The officers' faces drained of color. Danvers stammered, "You're lying." But Marcus reached into his pocket, pulling out his city-issued ID, the seal gleaming under the streetlight. The truth hit like a sledgehammer. They just burned the documents of the man who'd soon be their boss. Panic set in. Reynolds tried to laugh it off, but his voice cracked. "Come on, man, it was a joke." Marcus didn't blink. "A joke," he repeated, his tone cutting through their bravado. "Tell that to the city council when I suspend you." The threat landed hard. Danvers, desperate, tried to backtrack. "We didn't know, sir. Honest mistake." But Marcus wasn't listening. He was already thinking of tomorrow, new policies, new accountability, a new era for a city long divided by hate. As the officers scrambled to douse the fire, Marcus walked away, his silhouette strong against the fading light. The ashes of his documents drifted into the night, but they couldn't touch his resolve. He'd rebuild, as he always had. The city needed him not just as a mayor, but as a symbol of what could be overcome. By morning, the news would spread. The cops who tried to break him had only forged him stronger. The next day, at the swearing-in, Marcus stood before a cheering crowd. He spoke of unity, of justice, of a city where no one's worth was measured by their skin. The officers watched from the back, their badges heavy with shame. Marcus didn't mention them. He didn't need to. Their actions had exposed a truth the city could no longer ignore. Change wasn't just Kamingit was here. Marcus Tate's first act as mayor was to sign an executive order mandating body cameras and bias training for every officer. The crowd roared. Somewhere, in the ashes of that alley, a new fire had been lit, one that burned for justice, for equality, for a future where no one's documents or dreams would be reduced to ash. And Marcus, standing tall, knew this was only the beginning. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.